know the last 2 minutes are very difficult to watch. So thank you for bearing with it. I didn't see that. Oh, by the way, how many people speak English? I'm just curious. Well, I'm from Miami, Florida, and everybody speaks Spanish in Miami except for me. But I always feel pretty stupid when I come to Europe, because it seems to me everybody in Europe speaks at least 3 languages. Even my 8-year-old daughter lives in Denmark. So, and by the way, if you speak 3 languages, you are trilingual. If you speak 2 languages, you are bilingual. If you speak 1 language, you are probably American. That's how I can always tell how many people speak English, because if they laugh, then they go, it's a joke. But it's not a joke, it's really true. So we've shown this film all over the world, and I usually come in afterwards to answer questions. You must have some questions. So we'll do, and by the way, I'm here to help support ProMar, which is an organization that rescues stranded dolphins, whales, and sea turtles. Green light. Yeah, there it is. Can you turn around again? So there's their ProMar, and there's a phone number there. But right now they're rescuing a dolphin by the name of Marcos. Is anybody familiar with Marcos? Yes. Okay, well, you can walk down there and see him. He's down by the port. And hopefully Marcos will be returned to his natural environment. And you probably know about the Project Free Willy and returning Keiko to the wild. Well, Marcos is a very small animal, and size doesn't matter. Marcos, Keiko or Free Willy is no more or less important than Marcos. So it's very important that Marcos reconnect with his mother. He got separated somehow, and his mother's out there looking for him now. And part of the work ProMar is doing doing the research with the fishermen, trying to find out where Marcos came from, where there are other striped dolphins. And you can Google in striped dolphins on your computer and see about them. They travel in groups of sometimes 100 or 1,000. So somewhere out there in the Mediterranean is a group of striped dolphins, and they will find this group and reconnect Marcos with a radio transmitter to make sure that he survived okay. So we're hoping you all can become part of this project. This is much more powerful if it's done by the community as opposed to just a few people. And so right now, Marcos is in a sea pen about the size of this room over by the port. And it's okay, but it's not perfect because there's a lot of boat traffic and there's, of course, noise pollution. The waves themselves, the boats come through, some of the boats come through very quickly and create a wake, which is not a problem. He enjoys that. I saw him surfing this morning with some of these waves. But there is some pollution associated with diesel fuel and noise pollution. So Marcos has some medical issues which will be solved. Parasites, he's getting antibiotics. So it's going to be some time before he's actually ready to be released in the wild. And we can't stay there at the port. We have to find a place that's more natural, where there's no sound. And so, no sound, no underwater pollution, noise pollution. And so some of the people at ProMar found a location in the national park. And we're going to look at it Sunday. And so if we can move Marcos there and get him rehabilitated, this will be the first sanctuary for dolphins anywhere in Europe. There isn't a sanctuary to take Marcos, so we can create one. And that's part of this project. It's much bigger than Marcos, the one dolphin is, because there are other dolphins that become stranded. sea turtles and such. So Bromar needs a place, a home base, and you'll learn more about that later. Maybe you can help make that happen, because the land is in a national park and it's owned, of course, controlled by the government. So we need their permission. So if this place works out on Sunday, we'll let you know. And if we decide we're trying to obtain it, not own it, but just set up the base camp there and put Marcos there, we may need your help writing letters to whoever it is. Alice can tell you about that later. So, okay, so much for Marcos. Now, what do you want to know about this movie? Or anything you ever wanted to know about dolphins that we're afraid to ask? Yes?
Why haven't big countries like America, the USA, intervened and put a stop to this? Why can't they do anything about it?
I didn't hear it.
The USA put a stop to this? They can do anything about it?
Oh, they can't do anything. Are you talking about the dolphin slaughter in Japan? In the Gulf?
Yeah, I mean, why do countries like the USA, why don't they do
Put
something?
pressure on?
Yes.
Okay. The same reason they don't put pressure on in Australia and other countries is because deals are made by politicians that we don't hear about. In other words, Australia is telling the Japanese government, okay, we won't bother you on the whaling issue if you continue to buy our beef. And so it's about importing and exporting goods and trade, and you don't hear about this, but this is how it is in real life. And so America is opposed to whaling, but not really. Not really. Under the table, we're saying, let's make a deal, and we'll leave you alone on the whaling issue, but we want you to buy our whatever, beef, chickens, whatever we're exporting. So this is the way of politics. This is how it is in the real world. We don't put pressure on them. My experience, and I'm speaking for myself, my life experience, and I'm 73 years old, is that governments protect corporations, not people and other animals. We have to do that. We, the people, have to do that. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen by the Japanese people getting involved and creating a grassroots movement in Japan to stop that dolphin slaughter. That's how it has happened. And so that's what we're doing there. I have a team there right now. I was on the Skype with them this morning. I stay in touch with them. We have a team from September through March. And what we're doing there is trying to support a grassroots movement of Japanese people to speak out against it. Because only the Japanese people can stop it. We are not cultural imperialists telling them what to do and what to eat and what not to eat. That's not what we're doing there. We're supporting Japanese people who are opposed, and they're opposed because the product, it's about supply and demand. Ultimately, the dolphin meat, they're killing the dolphin for the meat. The meat is poison. It's contaminated with mercury, methyl mercury, and PCBs. As soon as the Japanese people learn that, they stop buying the product. So you cut off the demand. That's the way it's done. But only the Japanese people can do that. So we support their effort in trying to do that. Yes?
I think that here the problem is that most of the countries that help Japan with this process, that Japan helps them with the money, and then they can have their own business with the fish, like the little countries that the film said. I don't remember the countries, but I think that some big governments, like the USA governments, must go there and have some trades with the little countries to make them have another way of improving economically instead of fishing. So that would stop the negotiations with Japan. That's my opinion. And I think that would be better.
Perhaps that would work. But there's a much bigger problem that the world doesn't know about. And you see it in this movie. It has to do with mercury poisoning. It's not a Japanese problem. It's a worldwide problem. In America, every river, every stream, every lake is contaminated with mercury. absolutely shocking. Every river, every stream, every lake is contaminated with mercury. How did that happen? It happened because we are using coal to create electricity. Every time we turn the lights on, we're getting power from someplace. And it's the coal-fired plants that's creating this pollution. It sends up the pollution into the atmosphere, and gravity brings it back down and enters into the food chain, and we're all impacted. And the scary thing is that there's a new coal-fired plant going online every week in China. So we all have to be aware of that. But don't take my word for it. You can do this yourself as a science project. You can go, and I say this all over the world. It doesn't matter if you're in France or Canada or Miami, Florida or Japan. You can go to the fish market and buy, like last night, I still eat fish, by the way. But I try to look for fish that are smaller than my plate, which means they haven't been in the ocean long enough to accumulate mercury. And so last night I was at a very nice restaurant here, and I ordered a small fish. I actually saw it and I ordered this fish, but they brought me the wrong fish. They brought me swordfish. Swordfish has the highest levels of mercury. Swordfish, tuna, the big apex predator fish. You can buy them yourself and have this tested, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Or go to a sushi restaurant, you'll see what I'm talking about. Mercury, there's no safe level of mercury. It erases the neurons in your brain. So, when I learned about this problem in Japan, I stopped eating tuna. I used to love tuna and swordfish. So I can do that. I have the power to change. The dolphins, like Marcos, has no choice. They have to eat fish. That's what they eat. So I think every dolphin is contaminated with mercury. And we hear about these strandings that happen all the time, but they're never tested for mercury. We took some blood the other day, and we're now testing Marcos. I'm curious to see what his level is of mercury. By the way, I had myself tested. I had a blood test about 3 months ago, and the doctor said you're fine. So you should do that yourself. If you're eating a lot of fish, large predator fish, sometimes they test it by cutting a piece of your hair off, and they can test it that way. The symptoms are memory loss, loss of vision, and there's other factors. Almost everybody in Taiji, Japan has the symptoms of mercury poisoning. In Taiji, Japan, where they consume a lot of dolphin meat, and the dolphin, of course, is the highest on the food chain. Taiji has a mortality rate twice the level of any other town in Japan of the same size. So, just be aware of that. Any other questions? Yes?
I've heard that by eating tuna and other big fishes, they are the predators of
Which fish?
the jellyfish. And by consuming them, we are increasing the amount of jellyfish in our beaches, and that's what we all suffer from that.
I don't know about that jellyfish. I know that turtles eat jellyfish. And they also eat plastic, because plastic looks like jellyfish. But I haven't heard about
I've heard those big animals.
Could be. I don't know. I'm really not an expert on it. I'm concerned about mercury. I'm not an expert on it. Yes.
But I wonder how can we stop this? I mean, as both recently said before, there's a demand for something, and that demand has to be covered. We can, for example, look at those fishes who have those low levels of mercury. I mean, we have to cap that there is a need to capture as much as possible to get to serve them, to give them to the people who need those food, I mean, who eat them as food. But also, the products that produce mercury when we use them may also be in high demand. But how can we stop something that is actually needed nowadays? That's really important.
So the question is, how can we stop?
It's a high demand on some fishes who, for example, have a high amount of mercury, or for example, that have grown a lot, that have a great amount of mercury in their bodies. My question is, how can we make sure that those fishes who have that quantity of mercury don't actually get to poison us?
Get to the market.
Yeah,
well, that's a problem. That is the problem right there. Because we know that there are some stores, like in Miami, where I live, called Whole Foods. It's a big chain, but they're very conscious about their food, where they get it from. So at the market, it will tell you right on the, and even in the sushi restaurants, they'll have a warning sign there. Mercury. The tuna, maybe, and swordfish, and your large apex predator fish may be contaminated with mercury. But most places in the world don't tell you that, because fishing is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they have lobbying power, they have a lot of power, and they're able to keep this information quiet. Cans of tuna, I used to eat tuna fish sandwiches. I don't do that anymore, because every can of tuna, but don't take my word for it. As a science project, have it tested yourself. It's not hard to do. You can send it out and get the results. And then you can inform people. You have to become the activist. Do not wait for the government to fix this problem. They're not going to do it. That's not what governments do. My government is not going to fix that problem. Governments protect corporations. So we have to fix the problem. We the people. So, but to answer your question, excuse me, I want to add before I forget, because people ask me that same question, what can I do? And I tell them, find out everything you can about the issue. It doesn't have to be mercury, it can be any issue. It can be plastic in the ocean, or toxic waste. I was hearing about mercury in awnings, women's rights, whatever the issue is, find out everything that you can about that issue. And that will give you power. You won't have to ask, what can I do? You'll know what to do. So, we need more activism on every issue. Yes?
Would it be possible to include the amount of mercury fish have, such as when you can see the calories it has? Would it be possible to include the amount of mercury it has on the label?
Is it possible to get warning labels?
Yes.
It would be very difficult, because the fishing industry is so powerful, they will keep them off of there. It's not just, it's in every country. It's kind of like cigarette smoking. You know, we know that it leads to cancer. There's no question about that. But it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they have scientists, and they have medical doctors who work for them to make sure that they pass out this information and to keep you from getting the information. So, yeah, it would be great if we had warning labels on everything that was bad for us, but we don't have it because it's very difficult to do. So you just have to, do the research yourself. You have to find out by eating the right things and read the labels, and you're going to do it. Don't expect the government to fix this for you. It's not going to happen. Okay, go. Is that it? Okay, well, thank you so much for having me here. Now, before I leave, I'm hoping Alexander can tell you something about Promar and how you can help him. And Thank you.
Okay, I'm just speaking English now, right? I hope you enjoyed the movie. I hope you learned about it. I think we planted like a seed of thought into your minds, right? I think we've done that. And now you are aware of this problem. And, as Rick says, do your own investigations here and learn more about it. What can you do around here? Well, we've got Marcos. We've got Marcos. Okay, we've got Marcos here. And what you can do really, okay, is we're going to set up that marine sanctuary somewhere around Cabo de Gata, okay? We want to do it there because there is no sanctuary in Europe right now, right, for dolphins or whales. Here in southern Spain, the water stays warm all year round, okay? So it's the perfect place for the dolphins to be put there so they can recover, right? They can recover from their illnesses, or they can do rehabilitation, right, from the dolphinariums to be able to set them free, okay? Spain has a problem, which Rick was telling me about, and it's that Spain has the most dolphinariums in all of Europe, okay? So it's not very good. So it would be good for the image of Spain if we could open this sanctuary, okay, for the whales and dolphins. How do we do that? Well, we set up the project, all right, but we need the public support, okay? So I'll probably be coming back to the school at some point and informing you about it. And what you can all do, right, is you can help us in the campaign, okay? You can tell people about it. You can make your own little projects, all right, to inform, right? You can go up to, let's say, Elepido, to the town square, yeah? You can inform people about it there. With Promar are going to make shirts, we're going to make leaflets, okay? We're going to make a huge campaign to be able to open it here, okay? And if this school can participate in that, it'll be very good for the school, very good for Spain, and very good for the dolphins, right? About Marcos. Marcos, we need money for him, right? Promar don't have enough money. What we want to do with Marcos, right, is, of course, we want to set him free of their problems. First, his health problem. That's the first thing that we have to make sure he's all right, okay? First his health, then we'll talk about recovering to get back into the sea, okay? Health issues, we need medicine, we need time, a lot of time. In Promar, everyone is volunteer, okay? No one gets paid for it, right? And in Promar, there are people who are with Marcos at night time as well, 24 hours a day. So maybe some people have night shifts, 3 o'clock in the morning till 5 till 7 in the morning, okay? So it's a lot of work, and we need a lot of support, okay? And we need the money. We need the money for the medicine, we need the money when we set him free, because we want to put a tag on his fin, okay? To be able to know where he is once we set him free. Apart from that, we need the money for the fishing nets, okay? Right, to open the sanctuary, we need money for a lot of things, okay? For the gasoline for the boats, to be able to take him from one place to another, or to be able to go ourselves to look at the place. Like on Sunday, we're going to Cabo de Gata, and we're actually going to look for a place to put him. Yeah? So that's the money for petrol to get there, right? Boat there, our time, so we need all the help you can give us. One of the things we thought about was, Rick has brought with him a few of these books, okay? These are his books. It's called Behind the Dolphin Smile, and he's brought, well, he's got about 15 of them right now, okay? And every time he goes to a different place in the world, he asks for a donation, 100 euros minimum. So we were thinking, okay, the school has already bought one, I guess for the library or whatever, right, a signed copy. We were thinking that if anyone wanted, they could try and raise at least 100 euros for Marcos. You can talk to your parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins, the next door neighbours, your communities, and you can try and raise a bit of money for Marcos, okay? And those of you who do that, well, Rick will give you a signed copy of his book, right? You can come by where we are at Cromar, and, well, I can show you around, we can go to the shore, you can see the dolphin, we can explain a bit what we're doing if you want. Does that sound like a good idea to you guys? Good idea? Yeah? You up for that? Sadly, there are only 15 books, more or less. But, you know, if you're willing to, you can try and you can talk to me afterwards, okay? Those of you who want to do this. Yeah? Do you understand me? ¿Me está entendiendo?
Yes.
Okay. So quiet, okay. So those of you who want to do that, to help out, okay, you can speak to me afterwards, all right? To Promar as well, in Spanish this time. And we can see how you can help, okay? As well, Promar, we volunteer there, if you've got time off, okay? Okay. Afterwards in Spanish. Okay, and you can go and you can volunteer, right? Because Promar aren't just Marcos. Promar do loads of things. They do courses of how to help a stranded whale. They rescue wildlife all the time in Almeria. Okay, so I mean, if you want to become active volunteers with them, hey, you can also give it a try, all right? I think this is very important at this school. Because I mean, this school's a very, very big school. I don't know if you're aware of that. I wasn't too aware of it while I was a student here. You don't. But once you leave and you compare with other places, you know, you realise that this school's really big. You've got a lot of things going on here. But I think this is one thing that you needed. Some like information on wildlife issues. Right? Do you agree with me there? Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh, good. Okay. And, well, that's it. I hope you had a good time watching the video, except the dolphin slaughtering. That was horrible. And that's it. Whoever wants to talk to me now, you can wait for me around here, okay? I hope it's not all of you, because then we had a problem. Only 15 books. Y voy a explicar un poco en español, ¿vale? Lo que he dicho antes, así, básicamente, es que queremos abrir un santuario para barcos, ¿vale? Y para otros delfines en un futuro, ¿vale? Delfines que puedan estar, pues, heridos, enfermos, o delfines de los delfinarios que queramos recuperar, ¿vale? Este santuario sería, pues, en Cabo de Gata. Vamos a ir el domingo para mirar la zona, para ver si es buena para eso, porque en toda Europa no hay un santuario para delfines, para nada. Entonces, a ver si logramos abrir, pues, el primero de Europa, y sería algo muy grande para España y para los delfines. He dicho antes que España es el país que más delfinarios tiene, ¿vale? Más delfines en cautividad. Entonces sería algo muy importante, sobre todo por eso. Eso es un resumen básico del proyecto. No sé si Rosa quiere añadir algo sobre el programa.
Lo has dicho todo.
Lo he dicho todo.
Si alguien tiene alguna pregunta
Sí,
que decir, que hacer.
Una pregunta sobre
Marcos.
sobre los cursos que hacen,
Sobre tomar.
o sobre Marcos, sobre cualquier cosa. Bueno, yo creo que ya
¿Hacer voluntarios?
para hacerse
Pero
voluntario.
si empieza una voluntaria, ¿qué hace con la podríamos dar?
Depende de la edad que tengas. ¿Qué edad tienes? 16. Vale, pues lo que es interactuar con el delfín no podrías. ¿Vale? Cualquier otra actividad dentro del campamento sí que se permitiría. No, para entrar con el delfín podemos dar ser mayor.
Ahora mismo está limitado eso aquí. A la gente que conoce el delfín.
Y hay que tener en cuenta que un animal salvaje no es reproducido, no es,
Que no se puede interactuar mucho.
hay que decir,
Ahora entramos con el grupo que ha estado más o menos desde hace ya
Desde el
tiempo.
principio.
Y
De todas formas, nosotros hacemos cursos y en cualquier momento podéis aprender más sobre nadamientos, en cualquier curso que damos, aprender sobre nadamientos, cómo tratar a un delfín cuando aparece en la playa. la sede como tal está en Alboran. Lo que pasa que, bueno, la actuación sí que la tenemos en toda la costa del mundo. Solamente nos está permitido actuar en la isla.
Trabajamos en el territorio, que siempre trabajamos en la naturaleza. Es lo ideal para nosotros.
¿Qué manera tenéis para conocer? ¿Consideráis que la gente conoce lo suficiente? Si os conociera más gente, ¿se podría hacer mucho más o no?
Hombre, siempre se puede hacer más. Siempre se puede hacer más. Pero sí que te puedo decir que fuera de España sí que se está siguiendo mucho. Ahora el tema de Marcos se está siguiendo mucho. En América del Sur, por ejemplo, hay mucha gente que lo está siguiendo. Siempre se puede hacer más, claro que sí. También en Francia se está siguiendo bastante.
Sí, gracias a la colaboración de Rey estamos consiguiendo poco a poco que la gente conozca ese tema. Pasa que aquí por la zona pues todavía se ve que hay pues, una falta de interés o algo así, ¿sabes? Que en los medios ha salido, por medio de la zona, pero lo que pasa es que se depende del lugar, ¿no? Hay, pues, en Estados Unidos ahora mismo, Rick me estaba contando que en Miami, por ejemplo, quieren hacer donaciones, ¿sabes? Quieren donar desde ahí ya. Y aquí pues todavía estamos así que como que no avanza la cosa. Pero bueno, a ver si con esta ayuda, ¿no? Para eso venimos aquí a informarnos.